So today I wanted to talk about safety as a solo female traveler. Hey guys, welcome back to Live, Love, Life, and Travel. This is your girl Shamika, and if you're new here, welcome. Just to let you know, I do usually upload on the daily and upload my travel videos every Monday through Thursday and my free talk videos on the weekends. So if you're interested, please hit that subscribe button. They did have another video about traveling as a solo female, but it was more like the negatives, the pros and the cons, and how it is to travel as a female solo traveler. And I hit on a little bit when it came to safety, but not like that wasn't the whole focus of the video. So I wanted to make a separate video about safety as a solo female traveler here in Thailand and Southeast Asia. Thailand and other surrounding countries are really safe, and I'm not saying that they're not bad people or bad things or bad stuff that can happen. I am not saying that whatsoever. I'm just saying it's not just the fact that Thailand is safe, it's just that people, the feeling is like it makes people feel really safe and comfortable almost too much, and to the point where people bring their walls down quite quickly and they put themselves in situations that they wouldn't have done if they were back in their hometown. And so just because Thailand is really safe doesn't mean you leave your common sense at home, man or women, especially women. And that seems like duh, like of course you should always have common sense. Like, well, some people don't ever have common sense, but I've seen people put themselves in situations that I know they probably wouldn't have done at home because they're just like, it's totally safe. No one's gonna hurt me. No one's gonna do anything to me. No one's gonna steal my stuff. And I mentioned this in my other video, is Thailand safe? How like you can go into hostels and people just have their laptops, their iPads, their phones, their money, everything just out, and they just left for the day because they just feel safe. Like no one's gonna take it. You should still lock your stuff up. So anyway, women in particular, I think my main point and my main advice that I want to get across is that you have to be careful how you're coming across to other people. You have to be aware of your body language, because things that seem like harmless flirting or just harmless actions to us in Western countries in America can seem like flirtation and other things in other countries because they're more conservative, and a lot of times conservative countries, affections between men and women is just looked down upon and sometimes just forbidden. So even the slightest thing, like and you reach over and you touch someone's knee or someone's shoulder, or a hug that's too long, or even just being overly friendly just during conversations, a lot of smiling, a lot of laughing, stuff like that can be seen as you want me. It can be seen as flirtation, as if you want to be directed towards sexual, that you're easy, that you're open, ready to party. So you have to be aware of stuff like that, like you're laughing and your breasts are falling out and stuff like that, like things that we do all the time back at home that's like, yeah, maybe it's flirtatious, but it's just harmless flirting, and a guy would know, like, just because I'm doing these things doesn't necessarily mean you're gonna get laid, doesn't necessarily mean you have permission to touch me in my private areas and stuff like that. And so I'm not saying not to be friendly, because one of the best parts about traveling to other countries is getting to know the locals, having conversations with the locals, breaking bread with the locals, drinking with the locals. But just be aware of the situation, especially as a solo female traveler. For instance, like, I'm going to do another video about Malaysia, and maybe soon. But anyway, for instance, when I was in Malaysia, a lot of the Indian men were very friendly towards me. And I'm going to talk about it in my other video why I think that is. And here in Thailand it happens too, but in Malaysia it was a little bit different, like overly friendly, and a lot of them, come here, sit with me, come here, give me a hug, stuff like that. And you just like, I always, like, if it's nighttime, I always say no, because I'm not gonna be the only woman amongst a bunch of men having alcoholic beverages in a foreign conservative country, which I know they would never ask someone in their own culture as a female to do that. So I'm not gonna put myself in that situation. And I've seen a lot of girls do that, and it's like, you shouldn't do that. You're just you're putting out the wrong message, in my opinion. I'm not saying that's always the case. Sometimes it's just complete like harmless, especially if you build up a friendship and a rapport with them and they just know that they know who you are, and they know that you're not that type of girl, then it's different. But if it's just like off the jump and they don't know you and you're by yourself, and it seems like common sense, but when you come over here, you drop a lot of that stuff because you just feel like no one's ever gonna harm you, no one's gonna do anything to you. But anyway, when I was in Malaysia, like it was like 5 or 6 Indian men were sort of sitting under some shade behind a sort of food cart, and they saw me walking by and they're like, "Hey, come here, sit with us." And it was daytime and it was a lot of people out and we were in public, and being that I've already turned down a bunch of guys before because it was nighttime and I didn't feel like it was appropriate, I said, you know what, this time I'm gonna say yes, because like I said, one of the best parts about traveling is getting to know the locals. So I said yes because it was daytime, it was a lot of people around, and we were in public. And so I sat with them and we talked and we laughed, and it was nothing funny. They didn't overly flirt, they weren't being sexual, they weren't being pushy, they were being very nice, very polite, very decent, very accommodating. But I would not have done that if it was nighttime. I would have not put myself in a situation with 5 or 6 men at night and they're offering me alcoholic beverages. I would have not done that. So that's the difference. Like, I would do it in the daytime, but I wouldn't do it in the nighttime because you just don't want to put yourself in a situation. And a lot of times here in Thailand, quite frequently, I'll be walking by a group of men and they will always be like, come here, like, whiskey, drink with us. And I don't really ever sit with them. Only one time I finally said, okay, I'll have a sip of whiskey, but you know, I didn't sit with them, I just had a sip of whiskey, which to me was a mistake because after that they literally was like hounding me on a daily basis for like a couple of weeks to come sit with them, and to the point where it was kind of like I felt a little bit like it was harassment. Like, it was just like hounding me, like running across the street trying to like grab my arm, like, come on, sit with us. And it was like, if I felt like I should have just listened to my intuition and not had that sip, because I felt like if you give them an inch, they're gonna take a mile. And so just don't, like, you have to be like me. Giving that little bit may have meant something else to them. Okay, she had a sip of whiskey, this means that. Instead of just seeing it as she just had a sip of whiskey. It doesn't mean she's into us, doesn't mean she wants to be our friends, doesn't mean she wants to do anything more than that. So yeah, just being careful how you're coming off and putting yourself, don't put yourself in situations that is just not safe. And again, you might be watching this video going like, why is this news? I've seen it, and it's like a lot of young girls come down here, oh my god, it's so cute, these Thai guys want to talk to me and stuff like that. Like, yeah, like you would never, if you're at home, I mean, I guess maybe you would anyway. So let me do a bit of a story time. I already talked about the time where I was set on the back of a bus, a travel bus, and I was set with all men. And I was behind, I was like all the way in the back, in the corner, behind a tall chair. Basically, no one would be able to see me from the front, or even from just a little bit ahead of us. No one can be able to see me. I was like literally hidden in the corner. And it was about to be nighttime, the lights were gonna go off, and I was sitting back with a bunch of men, and then there was like some space between us. It was still uncomfortable, but comfortable enough. And then one of the men literally got up and sat skin to skin to me, like on me basically. And I'm totally ashamed to say that I froze, because like at the time the bus was taking off and I was like, oh my gosh, what should I do? Should I scream? Should I say something? Should I stop the bus? If I get off the bus, then am I going to be stranded? What am I going to do now? Who am I going to call? I don't have a phone. Stuff like that. Like, it was all rushing through my head, and the whole time I was like, this guy is literally going to fucking molest me or something. And I, like, come on, like, he's literally got up from his seat and sat skin to skin to me. I'm pretty sure he didn't have any good intentions. And instead of, like, screaming or saying something, I kind of just froze. Maybe I would have eventually moved and made some actions there, but it didn't. And fortunately for me, the woman who was working the bus, she came back and she looked. And she only looked for a second and then she left. And I thought she just didn't give a shit. But then she came back and she moved me and set a guy there, and she moved me and set me next to a woman. And so thank God for her. And I want people to learn from that lesson. Like, if you're ever in a situation get yourself out of the situation, even if it means it's going to like be inconvenient to you later. Like, don't ever let that like go on. Anyway, I already talked about that in another video. The other story I wanted to say is like, this is sort of the example of putting yourself in situations that you wouldn't normally put yourself in. The bus thing, I didn't necessarily put myself in that situation. Someone else put me there and I kind of just let it be. And so I was in Phuket town, and I stayed at this really nice hostel. I actually have a video about the review of the hostel, Phuket town hostel, capsule hostel. Really nice hostel. Lovely owners. The manager or the architect of the building was working there, and he invited me and my other Japanese male friends out for drinks that night. And I thought that was really nice. Like, the owners are inviting us out for drinks. We went out for drinks. We went out to see a live jazz band. It was really nice. It was me, the owner, my Japanese male friend, and his girlfriend. And then my friend got tired and he was like, I'm sleepy, I'm gonna go home. I was having fun, so I was like, I'm just gonna stay, like, why not? And so we proceeded to go to another bar, and then my manager, the owner of the hostel's friend came, a male friend, and we were still enjoying ourselves. Everything was nice, whatever. And then he was like, hey, do you guys want to go back to our place and we can just have some drinks and continue the party? And at that point, like, yeah, I had a couple of drinks. I was like, this is fun, like, why not? Like, let's just continue it. And so we went back to their place, and it was me, the owner of the hostel, who was super sweet and super nice, his male friend, and his girlfriend. So the part of me felt like, since his girlfriend is here, I felt safer. But at the same time, I was the only tourist. I was the only foreigner in that group of people. Not that I'm saying like Thai people are gonna attack foreigners. I just felt like there was already this language barrier between all of us, and I was the only foreigner. Whatever, anyway. And so we were just like drinking beers, and we were just watching music videos on YouTube. And I remember watching this reaction video of Korean girls watching the Nicki Minaj Anaconda video, and I thought that video was really funny to see their reaction. So I thought it'd be really funny to play this Nicki Minaj video for these Thai people to see their reactions. And that turned out to be a mistake. Like, they watched it and they were like, oh my gosh, like, really, like, they reacted the way I thought they were gonna react, and that was funny. But after the video was over, the owner of the hostel's friend took that as a invitation or a subliminal message in sorts of like touch me, or I'm into you, or I'm sexual. Like, since Nicki Minaj is a black woman showing her ass, showing her body parts on camera, I'm black, so I must be into the same thing. Kind of like that. And he started sort of touching me, he started grabbing my ass, and he was like, oh, Nicki Minaj ass, like, oh, you have big ass, or something like that. And I was like, no, don't touch me, no, that's okay. And I was saying no, but I was saying it in the most polite way possible, and he wasn't like getting the hint. Like, he kept being like, oh, and I'm like, no, stop. And it happened like 3 times. And this is the reason why I decided to react this way, because I'm in a foreign country and I'm the only foreigner around these people, and there's already a language barrier. Maybe he did and he's just plain stupid, but he wasn't getting what I was saying. They don't understand what's going on, and if I just blew up and started cussing and yelling and pushing him and being all ratchet and all that stuff, like, they might have took it the wrong way. And if they felt like something was wrong and then they decided to call the Thai police, and I'm the only foreigner and they're only really getting their story, it could have turned out maybe not so good for me. And that was sort of the rationale that I was going through, and that's why I decided to stay calm in a situation instead of being like, how dare you, get off of me, fuck you, like something like that. So I said, okay. So I just stood up, I went to the owner of the hostel, I asked him if I can speak to him privately. His girlfriend walked out, we closed the balcony door, and I said, thank you so much for your hospitality. I've had so much fun. Your hostel is amazing, but I feel uncomfortable now and I want to go home. Your friend is being sexual with me and I don't want to be sexual with him. And I just said blatantly, like, I'm not gonna have sex with your friend. Like, I don't know what's going on here. I don't know if he thought that was going to be like a group thing happening, but I didn't say all that. I just said I'm not going to have sex with your friend. And he was very, very apologetic and almost embarrassed and was like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, like, oh, I thought maybe, but I wasn't sure, and I thought maybe you're having fun. I'm so sorry. Yes, let's go. And so he reacted the way I wanted him to react, and I stayed on the balcony. He went and spoke to his friend, and very shortly after, we all got up and left. And even his friend didn't act mean towards me afterwards or anything. He still acted very nice towards me, but he stopped touching me, and that was the end of it. So in the same way, I feel like you have to be very careful of how you are presenting yourself and your reactions and your actions and your body language, especially as a woman around other men and stuff like that. I feel like also in a foreign language you have to be very careful of your volume level and your aggressiveness and how you're coming off that way, because that can be seen as something else. I have in another video that I haven't published yet about getting in fights in Thailand, how it's so not worth it to not fight Thai people in Thailand, because they don't argue. Once they hear you getting more aggressive and more loud, they take that as you want to fight, and they will just hit you. And once one Thai person hits you, they all gonna start hitting you. And it's not because they're savages or they're evil or they're mean or they're violent or anything like that. It's just that they have each other's back, and they're not gonna allow a foreigner to come in and disrespect them. And that's why I didn't want that to be taken as she's disrespecting us. We've given her drinks, we've showed her a good time, and now she's yelling and screaming. That's why I was trying to be careful how it was coming off. At the same time, if that wasn't working, then I would have just took matters into my own hand, whether that was me just leaving or whether that was me getting more louder to get my point across. But you have to just sort of be careful. And I'm not trying to put the fear of God in anybody. Thailand is safe. Those people that I went out with, they had no ill will to me. They weren't trying to hurt me or harm me. There was maybe a bit of a miscommunication of what I was down for, and maybe that's my own fault. Probably is, but it's not like they have any ill will. They don't want to attack you or hurt you or anything like that, but it's just that in their country this is taboo, and if you're doing it off friendly and openly, then it's like, okay, so she must be down. And it's already a rumor that Western women, and maybe even sometimes black women, are more open sexually, so, or don't have boundaries or limits or standards and stuff like that. So you just have to be careful and safe. Don't put yourself in situations that you wouldn't put yourself in if you're back at home, but does not mean you should be closed off. Get to know the locals, be friendly, smile. I have Thai guys that I talk to every day on a daily basis. I just don't sit with them by myself at night, but any other times I sit with them, I talk to them, we have conversations. It's just I'm not going to put myself in situations that I know that may be read wrong. That's it. That's the advice I have. I don't have like top 10 things to do or anything like that. That was just like my core message that I wanted to get across. What do you guys think? Comment in the comment section below. Have you ever been in this type of situation? Do you agree with me? Do you think I'm overreacting or whatever? Please comment in the comment section below. Like this video if you want to like it. Share this video if you want to share it. It really helps, guys. And if you want to continue to follow me on this crazy game called life, please subscribe. And thank you from Live, Love, Life, and Travel. My shirt is just like be professional.
I'm there what makes no flowers grow. Good things may come to us.